Yo, what's up, yo? Chilling. What y'all doing? Crazy stuff in boxing. This Jeff Horn shit shook up the world. I shook up the world. Yo, what up? Spence is the best. What up, Moises? What up? Much respect from Austin, Texas. Shout out to Texas, man. I got a lot of family out there. How's the weather, man? It's hot as hell out here right now. My name is Yev. I just want to kick it with y'all for a minute. On this Sunday, what y'all think about the fight? That's crazy. This whole situation is crazy. Pure bullshit. Jeff Horn did better though. Better than a lot of people anticipated. Pacquiao didn't look good in general. His 9th round was good. But he didn't look good as a whole, for sure. Yo, what up? Hey, no, guys. It's hot as hell in Houston, I bet. Man, it was hot as fuck today. It's cooled down now. Pac-Man didn't look like himself. You know what? The reason he didn't look like himself is you have to give credit to Jeff Horn. It's because Jeff Horn didn't allow him to be himself. Pacquiao needs space. He does all that moving and sidestepping, and he was getting crowded by Jeff Horn. I'm telling you, a lot. What I noticed is people, when they're in there with legends, sometimes they pay too much respect to him. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, it's a legend. You don't want to make a mistake. But Jeff Horn had nothing to lose, so he just came out like that. He didn't have a big name, so this was his money shot. You know what I mean? He just came out with whatever. Figured, like, it's do or die, I guess. Floyd Mayweather's the GOAT. Remember that. His skill's legendary. True. What up, Alexander? San Diego in the building. 510 in the building. Keith Thurman's the best. That's why I want to see the Errol Spence fight. Respect your hustle. Thank you. We just do a little bit of this work. Spence versus Horn. I would pick Spence. Easy. You on vacation? We working. Yep. It's nighttime in Georgia. I live in California, so I'm on the West Coast, the best coast, the left coast. And it's... What time is it? Thank you for the great videos. You guys are welcome, man. I'm working. This year got me working. Yeah, I would pick Spence for sure to beat. I pick all the top guys. Keith Thurman, I'll pick him to beat him too. And I'm not hating or taking anything away from Jeff Horn. He did what he had to do against Pacquiao, but these other guys aren't Pacquiao. They're not 40. They move like they always moved, you know what I mean? So if anything, they're really in the prime of their career. Pacquiao, his style as he gets older, it's not necessarily gonna be like Roy Jones. When he slowed down a tad and people can time him just that split second, it made for a different Roy Jones fight. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we stay putting people in timeout, man. They don't know how to act. What's 210? Where is that? Shout out to Argentina. Are you in the real Argentina or Tim Bradley's Argentina? Because he said that Australia was Argentina on the telecast. I don't know if you guys heard that. Shout out to Inquisitive Fish Guy. He donated $5 super chat. We working, man. Spence is the baddest at 147. I don't know. I think Spence is up there for sure. I would pick him. Till Terrence Crawford gets in the mix, I don't know. That's a real good fight. I really don't know with that one. Because it's like I don't like betting against Crawford at this point from what I've seen. But Spence, he's a beast. And it's crazy, all this Jeff Horn stuff. I'm waiting for the dust to settle, but I got some more info. I'm gonna do a video. There's another call out that just happened. I like it. I think it's a good call out. So y'all stay tuned to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'm gonna be breaking that because I talked to the fighter. We were just on Twitter, but I like where his head's at. You know what I mean? But I'll be doing that video soon. Hey bro, congrats Boxingego. I've been following you since you were at 20,000 followers. Your content is by far the best. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, boxing's been great. I mean, see this, you know what, with the Pacquiao Horn thing, you guys know I don't do a bunch of conspiracy theories and say this and that, but it did seem mad suspect because Horn, he had a prepared speech on a piece of paper. Like, how'd you just know you were gonna win? And like, okay, let's say he was just trying to prepare just in case he did win. It just seemed scripted. They're already talking about the rematch, and I don't know, that seemed kind of sus. And then the other thing is, like, all the judges had it unanimously for Jeff Horn, like not even a majority or split decision. Really? It seemed kind of suspect to me, but you can't take away Horn did a lot better. He exceeded expectations for sure. Mayweather will beat the shit out of Horn. Y'all don't want to see that fight. Y'all, I mean, and then y'all complain about how boring it is. But see, it gets old trying to explain stuff to some people. Like, the thing is, people, oh, Floyd's boring, Rigondeaux's boring. But when has Rigondeaux stepped foot in with somebody that he looked like absolute shit against, that he shouldn't have looked shitty against? Even if you were to say a Magasaw, you got to keep in mind a Magasaw was in a higher division and came down, and you can look at the size differential, and the guy looked like he was almost 6 feet tall at 122 or whatever. Same thing with Floyd. Who was he fought where he was supposed to murder them based on the stats and everything, and he looked like that, and he's bleeding and leaking and shit? You don't really see that. So all y'all that do this, oh, this shit is boring, and y'all be the first motherfuckers to leave these fighters when the going gets tough and say, hey, hang them up, man, retire, your shit's over, and move on to the next fighter. That's why I always tell fighters when I meet them and talk off record and stuff, like, fight for yourself, man. Do what works with you. Because the moment you try to please someone else and start fighting, like even like Berto when he fought Robert Guerrero, similar style to what Jeff Horn was doing, mugging, at you pressure. He came out trying to be cute in the shoulder roll. The ref wasn't helping him, like not helping him, but wasn't calling some of the dirty shit Guerrero was doing. So you just got to fight your way out, but you got to fight for you most importantly, because when it's all said and done, when it's all over, Floyd, man, Floyd is almost a genius when it comes to this boxing game. I'm not vouching for shit he did outside of boxing or whatever, but with his boxing, he says do drug testing. We need to do Olympic style. And people said he's a bitch, he's a pussy for suggesting that. Why don't you just fight him even if he's on something? You're scared, you're ducking. And then after that point, how many people have we seen get caught with drugs? He says health comes first, right? We've seen people like, oh, what do you mean health comes first? That's a bitch move. Now, Daniel Twitch Franco, Magomed Abdusalamov, and all these other guys, Kell Brook's eye and all this. Now people are saying, oh, yeah, hey, this boxing is dangerous, man. Kell Brook had to quit. But now it's accepted. You know what I mean? Health comes first and all this shit. Y'all are crazy. Floyd would annihilate Horn. He would annihilate him, because it's styles make fights. Pacquiao, I'm trying to tell you guys, Pacquiao's style made for that. Because is there anybody, if you agree with this, I don't know how, but who believes that Jeff Horn has a more aggressive or awkward style or even more power than Marcos Maidana? And Floyd beat him twice. So if Maidana can't beat him, and when he got up with Garcia, Robert Garcia had him polished with the jab, and he has a way better resume than Jeff Horn. And if that's the similar thing to what Jeff Horn was doing, but Floyd can fight off the ropes, unlike Pacquiao. So what is Jeff Horn gonna do versus Floyd? Honestly, what is he gonna do? I mean, and as far as people you can always wait for father time and like, oh, Floyd has to get old at some point, but I never understood that. Like, you do really train for the worst version of your opponent, or are you going to train for the best shape and the most focused and the experienced version of the fighter? You know what I mean? So if you're banking on Floyd getting old, seeing is believing, and he hasn't looked old like Pacquiao just looked versus Jeff Horn. So at the end of the day, I'd have to pick Floyd over Jeff Horn. Who's he? Like I said, Jeff Horn has 15, 16 fights. Maidana was in there with certified, like, real ones. Amir Khan, Eric Morales, Kotelnik, Devin Alexander, Jesus Autocaras before he started taking a bunch of losses, and he knocked him out. First fight, I think, with Robert Garcia. So, if like I said, what is he gonna do? Maidana made it as rough as humanly possible on Floyd, and still lost. And then he came back and lost again. What is he gonna do? What is Jeff Horn gonna do? It's not like he's fast. He didn't look fast. He just looked herky-jerky and awkward. His power looked cool, but I don't think he's the top puncher in the division. So what is he gonna do to Floyd? Like I said, unless Floyd got old and looked uncomfortable and looked like a different fighter or some shit. Yeah, ego's hating on Horn. I just have every reason to hate on a random Australia that I never even knew about fucking 2 months ago. Horn, someone said Horn Algieri. I don't think he's Algieri because he got more power. So based on his awkwardness and the fact that he looked pretty tough, you know what I mean? He was taking some shots from Pacquiao, and for the first 8 rounds, it didn't look like Pacquiao hurt him. So I think he's more to deal with, because guys would have to respect his power to some degree, and he's awkward. That's just my opinion. Horn did beat Pac-Man. Well, I'll tell you this. I still see. I have only watched it the first time. I had Pacquiao winning. I'm pretty confident what I've seen. I'll watch it because, like, round 1, who did you guys have winning round 1? Because I thought it was like kind of a swing round, to be honest. I thought Jeff Horn was doing some good work and like trying to bully Pacquiao, but Pacquiao was landing some good shots in there. So I gave round 1 to Pacquiao, but a lot of people said Horn won, and Horn won, you know what I mean, the first half of the fight. But I got to watch round 1 again. But I thought Pacquiao was doing some good work in there, even though Horn did better than I thought he would in the first round. Pacquiao was still aggressive and he was still effective. He was landing some clean shots. But Horn he's tough, he's durable. Hey, Teddy Atlas is a G. He says, yeah, great effort, but I had you losing. A thing I didn't understand and agree with Teddy Atlas was he gave round 6 to Pacquiao, and that was, like, to me, Jeff Horn's best round, or one of them. And I'm like, how the hell did Teddy Atlas give Pacquiao round 6? And round 6 is the round where Pacquiao got hurt. He got hurt, he got hurt, and he was visibly staggered, and then he got hit with a nasty uppercut. He got hit with another right after being staggered backwards. So to me, that was enough to seal up that round for Horn. So I don't know. I don't know what Atlas was talking about with that. That's just my opinion. Horn, the biggest thing since the Crocodile Hunter? Wow. Horn won't be beaten? I doubt that. I can think of a couple people that I think would beat him. But seeing is believing. I'm not knocking his hustle. The man, he came up. He did better. He took his opportunity. He seized the moment. It is what it is. Yeah, Bradley was wild and saying Argentina. Round 9 was not 10-8. Why? He looked like a dead man to me. Why wouldn't it be a 10-8? I had Ruslan Provodnikov versus Bradley at 10-8. Shout out to Edwin Calles. He just donated a $20 super chat. $20. It says, "What's up, Ego? By far the best boxing channel on YouTube." I appreciate that. Shout out to the $20 donation, man. And I'm telling y'all don't have to believe me. I don't really have no reason to lie to you. I always keep it a buck with you. As far as like the super chat and the Patreon stuff that people are donating, I'm not really, I use that for fueling the movement. I make enough on regular YouTube to do everything else. I really use it for additional, and I'm trying to get extra people because like I got so much stuff to do right now. It's crazy. There's just a lot of boxing, and now it's getting to the point where it's like, I don't know. It's getting to the point where it has to be more than just me. You know what I mean? My writer, Bakari, he holds down the fort for the website. But even getting to places, see, this is the thing that's crazy. And I'm not trying to sound like a sellout boxing fan or anything. But some people, like, it's different watching the fight as media versus watching it as fans. You get better seating as media unless you get really good tickets. Like a lot of times you're front row and stuff like that as media. But it's a different experience because when I watch the fight as a fan, like when I've been to past fights, I could just go there and then I'll just leave. You know what I mean? Just leave, and if there's an after party or whatever, just bounce. But now, after, I got to get to the press conference. I got to try to hustle and get interviews, stuff like that. And then I got to go to the hotel. Sometimes I'm hungry. You gotta upload. It's crazy. And then just the travel. So sometimes I don't even want to cover every fight. Not that I'm lazy, but it's a lot. You got to pack and unpack and stuff like that. I watched the fight at the crib, the Pacquiao Horn. I definitely wasn't going to Australia for that. And it was on ESPN, so. Wilder versus White, what about it? Is there some news about it? I ain't heard nothing. I'd watch it, though, for sure. But see, I know boxing fans. I don't think people really give Wilder credit if he beats White. They'll say, oh, Derek Chisora beat him, or Anthony Joshua stopped him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really think that. I don't think... I don't mind the fight because I think stylistically it'd be cool. But if people are calling... The people that call Wilder Bum Squad and all that extra shit, Helicopter Wilder, do you think they would honestly bow down if it's not a big name and say, oh, man, he destroyed Dillian White? They'd be like, Dillian who? And play these games and shit. So real boxing fans would give him credit for it, or whoever won the fight. If Deontay won the fight, real boxing fans would be like, oh, he beat Dillian White. That's solid. You know what I mean? But I don't think anyone else is giving him the real credit. Like, just the casuals, especially the people who say bum squad and all that extra shit. If you're doing all that, we already know. If it ain't Joshua, Luis King Kong Ortiz, or maybe even Tyson Fury, you wouldn't give credit. And realistically, Tyson Fury, when he's healthy and well, that's a difficult fight. But we don't know. We don't know if Tyson Fury can bounce back and be the same fighter because he's so big. You know what I mean? He's big from what he was, and who knows what where his head's at after failing drug tests and all that extra stuff. What else? What y'all talking about? What do y'all think of the Pacquiao fight? Y'all thought it was dirty or what? Like, not the outcome. I'm talking about the physical fight. Was it too dirty? Yeah, I like Tank Davis a lot. That's my dude, man. He's a real one. Tank Davis, I know him. We had talked online, like, through Instagram and stuff. And then when I met him and interviewed him, like, actually met him physically, as opposed to just, like, on some online shit, he's just real. He's real Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? He's a nice, humble kid. He was, you know what I mean, young dude. He was flashy, had his little watch on and stuff like that. And then, yeah, he gave me his number too. He's solid. Tank's solid. But even beyond that, in the ring, I like how he's developing, to be honest. I really like where his head's at, especially if he fights Salido. Man, if he fights Salido, if he fights Salido and beats him and knocks him out or something, then he just took Lomachenko's shine. I don't care where you're from. If you're from where I'm from, that's what we call it. If you get your watch stolen or your chain, it's taking your shine. Or if you take someone's spotlight, there's different ways to take someone's shine. And if Tank Davis at age 22 goes in there and fights Salido on a major card like Mayweather-McGregor, whether a lot of you idiots say it's a major card or not, it is. It'll do numbers, it'll do money. And if Tank Davis goes in there and knocks out Salido who hasn't been knocked out in a lot of his prime fights, Gamboa, Mikey Garcia, Lomachenko, etc., then he took some of Loma's shine. Because as far as I'm concerned, where Salido's at in his career, who's going to care about Lomachenko avenging the loss at that point? Lomachenko has had years to avenge that loss, so it's not going to be good, especially when he's fighting Miguel Mariaga. So Lomachenko, I'm anxious to see what he does after this fight, because Miguel Mariaga, see, fights like that, I'm going to tell you what's going on in boxing, man. And I see it a lot from Golden Boy, from Top Rank, more so than Premier Boxing Champs. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm talking about. Is even like people, first of all, people are like, oh, Robert Easter, that was a robbery. I didn't watch the fight. I was at home. I have a life outside of boxing. I still haven't watched the fight to this day. But I told you guys on paper, that's a difficult fight, because Denis Shafikov stopped an About Billions fighter, my dude, that I know personally, Jamel Herring, and that was a tough fight. He went in there with Rancis Bartholomew, Richard Comey. He's a tough dude. So those are tough competitive fights. But what I've seen a lot with Golden Boy and Top Rank, what they're trying to do is almost like what HBO does, is put this action fight and they're selling it based on the fact that it might have some entertainment value in terms of being an action fight, which is cool. But for me, I don't give a shit about an action fight if it don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even disrespectful. I know him, I've interviewed him and stuff, but Mauricio Herrera, where he's at in his career right now, no one's really, after the Danny Garcia, the fight, and the Jose Benavidez fight, he kind of disappeared for a minute. I know he's on the Canelo versus Amir Khan, but I know he came back and fought, and he's fighting Jesus Soto Caras. What does that really mean for 147? First of all, I don't even know if Soto Caras can make 147 easily, because he looks like a big frame dude, and he just got stopped by Kamagai, who's now fighting Cotto, and he fought Kamagai at 54. And I think both of them might have, he fought him twice. I think they both might be at 54. So really, him coming down to 47, he got stopped by Keith Thurman, he got stopped by Kamagai at a higher weight, 54, and he got stopped by Maidana. And he had a war with Berto, even though Berto only had one arm. And he went to the BKB, and I don't even remember what happened, but I think he lost too. So my whole point is he's a guy who's been through wars. So him fighting Mauricio Herrera, what does that really even mean? But that's what Golden Boy is putting together. And although it might promise action based on the contrast of styles, it really doesn't mean anything to the division. Mikey Garcia and Broner, that means something, because if Mikey Garcia, if he goes in there and like dogs Broner, for example, I don't know, but hypothetically, he's on his way to like real boxing superstardom, because he that will bring him closer to where he was when he left off. When he left off with Top Rank, he was on top of the world. He was a champion. He was knocking guys out in the 120s, I'm talking about. And I think he was at, I don't know if he went to 130, but he was knocking guys out. You know what I mean? Broner, if he beats Mikey Garcia, a guy who's undefeated and very talented and methodical, then that means something. Broner's career is back where it needs to be. Or if they both have like a Sean Porter, Keith Thurman type of fight, then they both walk away with a lot of pride intact. You know what I'm saying? But Soto Caras fighting Mauricio Herrera, what does that mean? Does that mean they could beat any of the top level guys? But that's kind of what Top Rank and Golden Boy, I think, are given. They're giving you a lot of fights in general that should promise action. But what does it mean? Cotto versus Kamagai? What does that mean at 54? Like, honestly, what does that mean to 54? Can let's say Kamagai upsets Cotto. We just seen an upset with Pacquiao. Can Kamagai beat Demetrius Andrade? Fuck no. I mean, I don't think he can. His style would be all wrong for that. Can he beat Jermell Charlo, who just knocked Charles Hatley out of the ring and shit? I don't see that. You know what I mean? So what does that really, what do certain fights really mean? Top Rank, Vasyl Lomachenko versus Miguel Mariaga. What does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really, and you can, even Premier Boxing Champs has some fights like that where you could say that, like Robert Guerrero versus Omar Figueroa. You could easily say, what does that mean? But that's just one of many fights that they've been putting on. So it's a little bit different, because they're also giving you, on top of the quality, they're giving you quantity. So like I said, you could say, oh, Omar Figueroa versus Robert Guerrero. That's the type of fight both of them need. Figueroa disappeared, and he's been MIA for about a year or something, and Robert Guerrero just lost to a guy who literally was driving taxis in Argentina. and I'm not Tim Bradley, so I know it was Argentina and not Australia. But that's my whole thing. So it's like, I get it. Like PBC, they have some fights like that that are middle of the road, but they have a lot that's shaping the division. Kell Brook, Errol Spence, Garcia versus Broner. You know what I mean? Fights like that. Even the Robert Easter versus Denis Shafikov. Denis Shafikov is a player at that division. You know what I'm saying? He's challenged for a title, and I think he won a IBF title, or he won. It was the #1 mandatory or whatever. So those fights make sense. But Vasyl Lomachenko, if he beats Miguel Mariaga, what does that mean to me? A guy coming up in weight, a guy moving up, and we already know Lomachenko's good, and a guy coming up in weight who just got knocked down and lost. What does that mean for me? Like, what does that see, like, that to me, that's bogus, because Lomachenko, this is how my brain works. I don't know about everyone, but the way my brain works is this. I know Lomachenko's good. You ain't never heard me say one thing about Lomachenko, oh, he sucks. I know he's good. But to get to that next level, you got to show me something. And the only way you could do that is one time, and then also fighting the right competition. Like Errol Spence. Okay, it got to a point where Bundu couldn't fuck with him, Algieri, Phil LaGreco. I get it. Those guys can't beat you. Now it's about stepping up, and that next level, can they fuck with you? And he did that. He fought Kell Brook in Kell Brook, his backyard. You know what I'm saying? So that proves something to me. He can go in someone else's backyard where he has all the disadvantages. Kell Brook had a better resume. Kell Brook was in his backyard. Kell Brook was considered the guy who's maybe the slicker boxer, and he still lost. Lomachenko fighting Miguel Mariaga off of a loss, a guy coming up in weight, and a guy who lost to Nicholas Walters and also got knocked down. That doesn't take Lomachenko to the next level. It doesn't make me say, oh, Lomachenko's even better than I thought. So that's what I look for. I look for the guys that are getting a lot of praise, the Chocolatitos and Crawfords and Golovkins. That's what I want to see from them. Like, if you're like a middle of the road, or you're a buster or a journeyman, that's something else. But the guys that are we consider to be champions or top tier guys, then you want to see them at some point. I'm not saying every fight has to be the toughest fight. Like if Andre Ward, his next fight, if he fights a softer touch, I don't have no beef with that. I don't have no problem with that, because he just took 2 fights with Kovalev, and Kovalev is not the one. I don't think. Who else would have beat Kovalev 2 times in a row at 175? Guaranteed. You know what I mean? There's Adonis. Would he beat him? Can he beat him once? We don't know. Maybe he can now, because Kovalev, his confidence might have went down. But Beterbiev, he looks like a beast. He's powerful, but we haven't seen him. I know he beat Kovalev in the amateur. We haven't seen him at that level in there. You know what I mean? Vodstick. We haven't seen those guys at that level. They're looking good, and they're doing what they need to be doing, but they haven't fought at that level. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Beterbiev. See, that's another person where it's like, he's I know the guys. If you're a C-level fighter or something, or a washed-up former champion or contender like a Campillo or something, you can't fuck with him. He's too in prime and all that. But we got to see him step up, and that's what I like. I like to see those fights where, like, it has to be a process. But I think, like, even Beterbiev, I think he's fought enough of those types of guys, and he's destroying them. So let's see him up the ante, and then get, like, to me, I think Joe Smith Jr. Sullivan Barrera winner, it should be more in line for a title shot than Beterbiev. But I don't mind seeing Beterbiev with anyone, because I know he can scrap. Tell the truth. Ego, do you think Ward should take a break and come back with a stay busy fight just because he's coming off 2 high-level battles? Yeah, I mean, he's earned the right, to me, career-wise, and in his last 2 fights, he's earned the right. He moved up. The fans said, oh, I bet you won't move up, and he moved up. So he's earned the right to take a soft touch if he wants. If he wants to move up and fight Tony Bellew or whatever, or Joshua or whatever the fuck they're talking about. I mean, he's earned those rights to make those decisions, point blank, period. And I give that to anyone. Like Floyd, I didn't have a problem with Floyd versus Berto. Reason being, the motherfucker's been in the game for 2 decades. and he just beat Pacquiao, the guy a lot of y'all said would destroy Floyd, and he beat him. So if he wants to fight Berto to close his contract, that's kind of customary. You know what I mean? I know, just like I used this example before, there's artists, like let's say Eminem, if he owes one more album, he has a 5-album deal, and he already completed 4, and he owes Interscope one more album, he might put out a greatest hit with some unreleased stuff just to complete his deal. And that's kind of what Floyd did. Just to complete his deal, he took a fight, rode off to the sunset, and retired for 2 years. And then there's a guy who was making noise, like Conor McGregor. He don't get credit anyway. Floyd don't get credit for his wins anyway. So he took the guy who's lucrative. He already has his legacy intact, and now he's going to make a shit ton of money, him and Conor McGregor. Floyd versus Berto was garbage, but did you have a problem with Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn, Pacquiao, Chris Algieri, Pacquiao, Brandon Rios off of a loss, coming up in weight 7 pounds? You know what I'm saying? A lot of fans, y'all say all this stuff, oh, this is garbage, but Pacquiao lost to Floyd, and a lot of people, they don't critique the other stuff. Cotto fighting Daniel Gill at a catchweight, that motherfucker looks like he's 6 feet tall, and he's coming down to 157, and Cotto weighed in at 153 and kicked his ass easily. You know what I mean? And I don't think Cotto's hitting like Golovkin. And Golovkin, I understand him destroying Daniel Gill, but Cotto did it easy. You know weight has something to do with it. And I'm not saying Cotto can't beat Daniel Gill, a healthy Gill. He probably would have. But that was strategic. And if it wasn't, then why did he have it at a catchweight? Why didn't he fight Daniel Gill at 160? And even though, I mean, Daniel Gill had every other advantage against him. The fight was in New York. He had just come off the Golovkin loss, and he beat Gerald Fletcher or something. Crazy. So y'all got to be consistent with your rules. You know what I mean? When you see a bad fight, a lot of people want to point out premier boxing champs bad fights, or this fighter or that fighter's the fight. They'll take the worst out of the bunch. I don't like Australia now. That's narrow-minded. You don't like it because of some judges who ain't even from Australia picked against Pacquiao. Crazy. Pacquiao versus Horn. That shit is crazy. Man, y'all gotta start showing love to my boy Rigondeaux. I got a video about him. I was just talking to Rigondeaux, and he actually said he watches the videos, he watches the channels and shit. Rigondeaux's a real one. So that was cool. Thank you. I love your hat. Thank you. California, yeah. Triple G, Canelo. I'm rocking with Canelo. I see, like, this is the type of fight where I was picking Golovkin for the longest, and the way my brain is set up, I'll end up switching back and forth. So I'm picking Canelo, and I'm gonna ride that one out. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But my latest inklings have been with Canelo. Before it was Golovkin, but I think I have a solid prediction on what would happen in the fight, and I'll do the 7 reasons before the time comes. And I don't want to keep going back and forth. I don't do that. I don't have to hedge my bets like, oh, Canelo, and then the day before the fight or a week before the fight say, oh, hey, I'll pick Triple G. But I'll give you guys a little preview. One of the biggest reasons that on my 7 reasons when I do it, why I'm picking Canelo, one of the big reasons is he overall does more. Now, there's still a danger because I think Golovkin can punch and he's a good finisher, and Daniel Jacobs did whatever, but Canelo doesn't fight like Daniel Jacobs, so that's totally different fights. But when the basic theme, when I really think about it, shout out to Juan Alferez, who just donated $10 super chat. It says, yo, Eagle, I love this channel. Keep up the great work. Best channel, hands down. I appreciate that. I believe the Rigondeaux versus Loma fight will happen, and I've got Loma for a few reasons, but who do you think will win and how? I'm going to get back to that so I can finish on this Canelo Triple G situation, but I will remember that before I get off this stream. The basic reason why I'm picking Canelo is I think Canelo just overall does more. He has more tools. And when I think about it, Golovkin, he does have something to equalize that with his power and his great cutting off the ring, and he's taller and stuff like that. But to me, the more and more I think about it, it's hard for me to pick the guy when the main reason I'm picking him is just power, and the other guy has a lot of skill, and more skill, in my opinion, more athletic, more coordination, faster hands. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to pick Golovkin, because I feel like if I'm picking him, it's like really boils down to if Canelo can take his shot. That's kind of Golovkin's MO to win. If Golovkin sets an early tone, i.e. Maidana versus Adrian Broner, he could definitely win. But if he does like Ward Kovalev 2, and Canelo stays safe enough in those early rounds, doesn't take too much damage, not getting knocked around and knocked down and badly hurt where he's coming up from a deficit, then I think overall Canelo does more. And Canelo looks pretty tough. He looks pretty solid, even though he's coming up in weight. And I think Canelo, and I'm gonna end it right here because I don't want to give too much of my 7 reasons. Canelo, him and his team were smart. They fought over 160 mark against Chavez Jr. and tested it out. And they felt like, okay, we could take Chavez, even though he didn't really do much, we take his best work or best shots that he did throw at 164.5. So we probably can deal with Golovkin. And a lot of people, I'm telling y'all always do this. What I see is a lot of people, they talk about fights that have nothing to do with each other. Canelo is his own person, Chavez is his own person, and Golovkin is too. People are like, oh, Canelo couldn't hurt or knock out Chavez Jr. What the fuck does that have to do with Golovkin? Golovkin just came off of a war with Danny Jacobs. Chavez Jr. didn't. He fought an easy fight with Dominic Bridge. So things like that have to be taken into consideration. Chavez Jr. is not 35 years old. Golovkin is. So although Golovkin hasn't been stopped like Chavez Jr., there's still variables. Chavez Jr. is big. He's bigger than Golovkin. I've seen them next to each other in a picture, and he's bigger than him. So it's just a totally different fight. And you have to keep in the mind, Canelo moved up 10.5 pounds one shot straight away, just like that. So that's different than now. He at least has that in the can before facing Golovkin. Like if he would have just moved up his first fight against Golovkin at 160, that would have been different. But he has at least some experience over 160. And I think the fact that they picked it over 160 instead of fighting Chavez Jr. closer to 160, that benefits them. They fought basically a super middleweight. Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko. You know what? I'm starting to. I know it's a 50-50 fight, but I'm picking Rigondeaux, man. I think he's surgical. And see, like the thing is, Lomachenko is a great fighter, and if you don't stay calm, cool, calm, and collected, it's gonna be a bad night. But Rigondeaux, I've seen him get knocked down, right? And he gets up and he has no expression on his face. He doesn't look hurt. He just like a Terminator or something. Ah, what are you doing? Say kinda. You know what I mean? He doesn't have no reaction, no facial expression or anything. So I think I'll pick Rigondeaux because I think he's more surgical. Lomachenko's style is great, but if someone's sniping you every time you come in and you try to jump in and do that moving around shit, and Rigondeaux's also a southpaw, and Rigondeaux's clearly powerful. Whether you think Moises Flores was faking it or not, he might have been hurt from that. He got dropped from it. Rigondeaux, I've seen him bully bigger guys, Donaire, Amagasa. Everyone he damn near fought was bigger than him. So to me, Rigondeaux's power is very real. He has good speed and good timing. His chin might be a little bit suspect, but I don't think Lomachenko is really the biggest puncher either. You know what I mean? I think Donaire clearly has more power than what's the name, Lomachenko. And arguably faster. Not faster overall body and foot speed and all that, but faster like hands, but definitely more power, which is more important. Rigondeaux has like shocking power that'll make you think twice. Watch Joseph Igbeko fight. People say it was boring. Of course it's going to be boring because Joseph Igbeko didn't want no more. You know what I mean? And the reason I know that, watch Igbeko, he has 2 fights with Abner Mares, who has decent to limited power, right? And plus, in the first fight, Mares was hitting him low, and that was like a war. But Igbeko, when he fought Rigondeaux, he didn't even want none. You know what I'm saying? And he follows me on Instagram. Shout out to Igbeko. But he seemed gun-shy as hell. And that's what guys like Rigondeaux and Floyd do to you. So I'm rocking with Rigondeaux. I think Rigondeaux is just, he's surgical. And he could even get knocked down in the fight, but every time he gets knocked down, he gets up and he gets right back to the game plan. And on top of that, I don't think Lomachenko is the biggest puncher he will have faced. Amagasah might even be a bigger puncher than him because he was a featherweight. I'm not trying to hate. I'm being honest. I really don't think Lomachenko is power. If you look at his resume, you'd be like, oh, this guy has power, because he only has 9 fights. You know what I'm saying? And what does he have, 6 knockouts? Somebody do the research if you guys can, because I'm on this live stream. Out of Lomachenko's 9 fights, how many are knockouts? And what percentage? Give me that if you guys can look that up and then come back with the answer or whatever. But if you look at that, like on BoxRec, that looks great. You're like, damn, he stopped 6 out of 9 guys or whatever. But then you look at the resume. Only certain ones. We know Gary Russell. We know Orlando Salido, but he lost that one, so he definitely didn't stop him. We know Nicholas Walters, but he was on a year-plus layoff, and he did stop him. And we know Jason Sosa. He did stop him, kind of frustrated him and stuff. But a lot of the other people we don't really know. You know what I mean? So, like when he was fighting on the Pacquiao undercards and stuff. So it looks great. If you look at it, it looks like his power, if you just base it off of 9 fights, it looks like it's there. But I guarantee you, if Lomachenko had 30 fights, his power level, the percentage would go down. It would be like probably at like a 52%. You know what I mean? 53%. It wouldn't be up there with Kovalev and Deontay Wilder and Golovkin and Beterbiev and all that. It wouldn't. So Rigondeaux has a great chance. I don't know though, because that weight that's asking a lot for Rigondeaux. I think he can make 118. So him going up all that weight, Lomachenko does have a shot. But that's my thoughts on the fight. But if we're talking skill versus skill, I think Lomachenko's style and skill would make Lomachenko hesitant to be leaping around. Because I even see, you got to look at little small marks. Jason Sosa hit Lomachenko to the body, and he reacted. It was very quick, very split second. Anybody who has 400 fights damn near in the amateurs, they probably have a good poker face. But I seen little things. Go watch that fight. It's just little subtle moments. But people just focus on Lomachenko dogging Jason Sosa. They don't look at that. And sometimes the fighters don't even notice that. The fighters don't even notice that they have someone hurt. So that's what I think. Jeff Horn clears out the 147 division. Stop it. Please stop it. Please stop. Hassan, what's up? We got another $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Gilbert the Great. He says, what do you think of Wilder versus Pulev or Ortiz next? Also, who else can Rigo fight besides Loma to get better known? The Pulev situation doesn't make sense to me because Pulev's the #1 for Anthony Joshua. And knowing that, honestly, some of you guys don't understand this. You're not going to understand. Wilder and Joshua both have power. But if you're Pulev and you're already in line to fight Joshua, either he's going to fight Klitschko and then fight you, or Klitschko's going to say, I don't want a rematch, and then he's going to fight you. So why would you lose your spot in line to fight another more aggressive puncher who's like more reckless, which could be more dangerous because he's 6'7", a little bit taller than Anthony Joshua, but he's wilder, like his last name, he's wilder with throwing. His wingspan is probably greater. So I don't see Pulev hopping out of line. And Joshua, if you're going to fight a guy with power, why not fight the more textbook guy and the guy who's an inch shorter and you're already in line for that? To me, I think Wilder might even have more power than Joshua per capita. I'm not saying if I got punched by him I would feel great or not get knocked out. I don't know, but they both have power clearly. But I think Wilder, just maybe his technique or lack of technique or whatever you want to call, I think he's throwing with more authority. But so that was the first part of your question. I don't think Pulev is in the equation. Ortiz, he's kind of like the dark horse. I would love to see it, but the boxing fan is the world is not clamoring for it. You know what I mean? Like, at least, well, I haven't seen magazine articles and stuff like that. So Ortiz, I don't know if he'll get that opportunity. You know what I mean? I could see maybe even if Gerald Big Baby Miller were to beat Gerald Washington on this Broner Garcia card, Wilder might fight him because that's an easy fight to make on PBC, and both of them talk shit before in the past and stuff like that. So that's a possibility. But I don't know, because I don't think Wilder wants to wait. Hughie Fury's fighting Joseph Parker. See, and that's the thing. A lot of people, they're mad at Wilder saying, oh, when are you going to step up? When are you going to fight someone? these other guys aren't cutting it. But Joseph Parker's had ample opportunity to try to unify with them, and he's the newest champion. He's kind of like the Jeff Horn, and they're actually, ironically, from a similar area, New Zealand and Australia. And anytime you're a new champion and less proven, you're going to be considered the weakest link, whether it's true or not. Joseph Parker is the newest heavyweight champion. They're going to consider him the weakest link. Jared Swift-Hurd, they're going to consider him the weakest link, as opposed to longer standing 54 champions. And same thing with whoever else I was just saying, Jeff Horn. He's the newest champion, so he's going to be the guy with the bullseye on his back. Keith Thurman has title defenses, right? He's fought better names multiple times. So the bullseye's on your back, and Joseph Parker chose to fight Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury got hurt the first time, and then he fought Raz Conovan, or whatever the guy's name is, and he didn't fight Wilder. So how you going to blame that on Wilder? And then the Dillian Whyte, like I said, I would watch the fight. I think it's an enjoyable fight, but you don't know the deal. You know the money. You know that he offered him Kujanu. Thank you. 3.5 million. It looks good, but at the same time, it's probably on Eddie Hearn's watch, because Eddie Hearn sounds like he's the one that made the offer. So would Wilder have to go to the UK? You just seen some people think Pacquiao got robbed. Some people think he didn't, but you run the risk of being in someone else's territory, and in a close fight, you run the risk of losing that. So everything you work for. So it's more than just money. Deontay Wilder already has millions. He's already made $1 million before. You know what I mean? People, oh, but he only made 700,000 versus Gerald Washington or whatever, but he got to fight him in his backyard. It's different than going to the UK and potential. Like, look at Dillian Whyte versus Derek Chisora. I gotta watch it again, because I was actually in Omaha when that fight came up, and I watched it in my hotel room. But I thought I had him winning. I had Derek Chisora winning, if I'm not mistaken, and they didn't give it to him. So you know what I mean. You run the risk of that in the UK. That was a hell of a fight. It was the fight of the year. So I gotta watch it again. But I'm pretty sure I had Derek Chisora winning. I thought it was very close, and I think Derek Chisora might have closed the 12th round better. And it was like that type of fight where it was on the edge. So you know what I mean? People always, oh, Wilder, he's ducking because he didn't want 3.5 million. But you don't know the deal. And if the deal was in the UK, then I can understand that. You know what I mean? Come over to the UK. Tell Dillian Whyte to come to. Do you think that Eddie Hearn will send Dillian Whyte to Alabama and give him the same 3.5 million? I doubt it. I mean, you guys can talk to Eddie Hearn if you know him. I don't think that's the deal. You know what I mean? So the deal is probably to bring him to the UK, put him on a matchroom card, and Wilder's the champion, so he has the right to do that. And like I said, I like Dillian Whyte. I follow him on Instagram. He seems like a cool dude. He's definitely a solid player in the heavyweight division. But I really feel like all the people calling Wilder bum squad and this and that, they're not going to give him credit if Wilder were to sleep him, because someone else has already done it and beat him to it. And that's just the way some of the boxing works. Yeah, that Pacquiao Horn, it looked fixed. I mean, the motherfuckers reading the Grammy acceptance speech and shit. Like, who brought that? You got gloves on and you just reading a piece of paper. Looked like it was an opportunity to stage a rematch that nobody. I mean, the first fight was cool, but really, do we have to see that again? I'd rather see Crawford fight one of them. I really would. I really would rather see Crawford. I'm not that big. I'm not a big rematch person. Ward Kovalev, okay, I get that. That rematch needed to happen because that was like somebody lost their belts because of that. And that happened in Pacquiao Horn too, but the fight shouldn't have happened to begin. Ward Kovalev should have happened. Pacquiao Horn shouldn't have happened. So now that it did happen, I'm not trying to see this strung out and become some fucking trilogy or Marquez situation where Pacquiao's fighting him 4 times. That's just ridiculous. Pacquiao Horn, I had Pacquiao winning, some people had Horn winning, I still blame Pacquiao for making it. You should have trained to eliminate this dude. That's part of the risk you run when you fight a cherry like Danny Garcia. Rod Sal, I like Danny Garcia. Met him, cool dude. But everybody knows the Rod Salka fight was not what boxing needed at that time, and he fought him. But guess what? He knocked him the fuck out brutally. So he's like, okay, Left hook, no look, left hook, you know what I mean? And that's what you got to do sometimes. And you're not going to knock out everybody, but Pacquiao, it's not even just about knocking out. You got to fight smarter if that's the case, because the fact that you're in there tough with Jeff Horn, hardcore rapper, but his name is Jeffrey, that doesn't make you look good. That makes you look bad, because you're like, damn, this is what it's come to, Pac? You're struggling with Jeff Horn? You know what I mean? Berto's coming off a loss. Shout out to my dude, Berto. He's coming off a loss, and he's calling out Jeff Horn. You know what I mean? No tune-up or nothing. He was on, I think his Instagram story, and he's like, hey, Jeff Horn, I might need that. And basically, I want that belt. I want that. You know what I mean? So everybody, like, that's how you could tell in boxing what it is. And, like, I'm going to give you all this, and I'm probably going to wrap this up because I'm tired of holding this phone. But Andre Ward, damn, it's like bugs out here. Andre Ward, first fight with Sergey Kovalev, right? Some people said Kovalev kicked his ass. Yeah, Kovalev kicked his ass. I did not hear one light heavyweight, not one of them, except for maybe Adonis Stevenson, but I'm talking about non-champion, call out Andre Ward and say, you know what? You got your ass kicked, Ward. I want that wreck. Or even Kovalev. I didn't really hear no one calling out Kovalev. But Jeff Horn beats Pacquiao, and everybody in the welterweight division is calling him out. Danny Garcia is like, hey, make it happen. Let's do it. Berto. Errol Spence is like, these dudes look like food to me. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford is like, man, y'all send him to Australia and let him get the win or something like that. And so that's how you know what's going on. All that bullshit y'all be talking about, oh, Ward, Kovalev, Ward robbed him. Why didn't no one really call out Ward? You know what I mean? But every single person who's a major player with a name at welterweight is chomping at the bit for a Jeff Horn opportunity. Berto was like, I need that. He's like, Jeff Horn, I need that. And Errol Spence is calling him food. He trying to put him in the skillet with garlic butter. So that lets you know something. Because all that, let's say Mayweather versus Maidana. I can't even use Floyd because Floyd's still a payday, so sometimes people do call him out. Like Luis Collazo called him out. But man, people want that belt up off Jeff Horn. And that's just what it is. They're like, okay, he beat Pacquiao, but you ain't gonna do that to me. Yeah, man, this seemed like an excuse to make a double header or whatever, a rematch. And I don't really care because I don't think the first fight should have happened to begin with. So now we gotta just drag this on. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the movies, like Saw movies or whatever. And it was cool at first, and then you start getting to Saw 7 and 8, and like, wow, this shit is just wild. The Jigsaw got AIDS and shit, and he's sick. I want to play a game. You spent your life playing games with others. Like, it gets, like, the traps start getting retarded. I seen one Saw movie, and they had somebody up on, like, fish hooks, and he was like, you have 1 minute to free yourself from these hooks. And it ripped their skin off. I'm like, this shit is crazy. These Saw movies are just getting retarded. It's like traps you can't even get out. Your skin ripping off, and your flesh is just like. Jigsaw had AIDS, I think, or he was sick in one of them. He had like herpes or something, cancer. I don't remember, but that's how the Pacquiao would be stringing up. Why I did not, in my heart of all hearts, I tell you guys no lies, I did not want to see Bradley 3. I thought Pacquiao won the first two. Why I want to watch that? Why do I want to see that? What does that mean to me? You know what I mean? And see, the thing is, that doesn't even prove anything. I thought Pacquiao won the first two fights. So instead of fighting Terrence Crawford, instead of fighting Errol Spence or somebody, you fight Bradley a third time. Even a Broner or Danny Garcia. That'd be at least a fresh face. So me, I don't really like them rematches. Unless it's like a Ward Kovalev where it's like, damn, that absolutely need, like Joshua Klitschko, I told you guys on video. I don't really care to see that. Joshua won fair and square. Now, I mean, I understand it from a business. Klitschko is a legend, and he lent his legacy and his namesake, his surname, to the card and gave Joshua the opportunity. So if he really wants some get back, he wants some get back, fine. But I don't really care. I don't really care about seeing that fight. I'd rather Joshua move on to Kubrat Pulev, see how he does against that, and then start trying to lasso one of these big fights, Joseph Parker or Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury if he can lose the weight. You know what I mean? Eric Morales versus Danny Garcia, rematch. I mean, I understand there's a rematch clause, but I didn't really want to see that. And you see what happened. Eric Morales got spun around and shit. Who wants to see the legend go out like that? You know what I'm saying? He got spun the fuck around. I didn't really want to see that. So me, that's my little standpoint on rematches. If it needs to happen, Ward Kovalev, that was a must. You know what I mean? That needed it immediately, right? Sorry, I got a phone call. I'm about to wrap this up. But yeah, clear the air with Ward Kovalev, stuff like that. Cool. You know what I mean? Rematches like that make sense. And it sounds like Robert Easter versus Denis Shafikov. I haven't watched the fight, but according to what I heard, it sounds like it was a good fight. So maybe even a situation like that, if you can't get Mikey Garcia, Jorge Linares, or Flanagan, or Unification, or big name Felix Verdejo or something, then okay, rematch Shafikov. From what it sounds like, I haven't watched it. So yay. So that's just my thoughts. I don't really care about these rematches unless they absolutely need to happen. And you guys notice a common theme. I understand not every fight is going to be the most meaningful fight per division, but I think the promoters should definitely be having certain fights like that. Like Top Rank, okay, Crawford versus Indongo. I don't have no problem with that because that's a undisputed situation. Winner of that is undisputed. Vasyl Lomachenko versus Mariaga. Once again, people are like, oh, you hate Loma, man. You're a Lomachenko hater. What do you like about that fight? A guy moving up in weight, coming off of a loss. He already lost to a mutual opponent that they both shared, Nicholas Walters. He got knocked down in both of his big step-ups. What do you like? What do you like about the Mariaga fight? And again, bet me. I got $1,500. You know what I'm saying? I will bet you PayPal. But see, actually, I can't even do that because some of y'all, when the inevitable happens and Lomachenko dogs him and beats him like he's supposed to because he is a good fighter, then you won't come up with my money, and then that's going to just piss me off. So I'm not even going to bet, but I know you guys won't bet. You know what I mean? People always want to act like they love the fight. Oh, Jeff Horn, that's what Pacquiao needed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And see, it's decisions like this that create that ripple in the pond. So some people are like, this is karma. You shouldn't have picked the cherry. You know what I mean? Lomachenko versus Mariaga. I don't see Mariaga doing all that to him, but it's boxing. You don't know. But Lomachenko fights smarter to me than Pacquiao, so I don't see that happening. But, I mean, it's just that's the danger of taking fights like that make no sense. Kell Brook losing to Errol Spence, there's no real shame in that. You lost to a guy who's being raved about by Freddie Roach, Adrian Broner, Floyd Mayweather. People who have sparred him, right? An Olympian. I mean, it hurts Kell Brook's career. I don't know how he'll bounce back, but there's no real shame. Nobody's really calling Kell Brook like a bitch for taking the fight, or like he's ducking. He doesn't want to. No one called Kell Brook a ducker once he signed on the dotted line. You know what I'm saying? But fights that don't need to happen, it does you more hurt than it does good. Like if Lomachenko, let's say he looks suspect, which we don't know, but he fought Mariaga, and Mariaga won 5-6 rounds and made it extremely close. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Because now it's like you weren't even supposed to be in here. He had everything against him. He fought in California, where your training camp is based out of. He's moving up in weight. He's coming off of a loss. And if, let's say, Oscar Valdez did better in his fight with him than you did, then that doesn't build your resume. That doesn't make you look like the greatest. At least when you're in a Ward Kovalev type of situation in the first fight, that was close. I told you guys, it was very close. But at the same time, it doesn't kill anybody's stock, because Ward, you're not supposed to move up in weight, only have one fight. Sullivan Barrera is the only light heavyweight that he really fought. The true light heavyweight who had been fighting in known power. But the Alexander Brand, Paul Smith, those weren't like stationary career-long light heavyweights. So for Ward to have some issue with Kovalev, who's the bigger puncher, strong guy, maybe a little bit taller than him, there's no shame in that for either guy. But when you do like the Jeff Horn situation, there is shame in that, because you shouldn't have been fighting him no way. And then it's like, damn, Pacquiao, you're elite. You've always been on pound for pound list, and you're letting a guy with 15 fights that's never really fought outside of Australia even have a chance. So again, that's why I blame Pacquiao. Is even though I had him winning, you have to understand that does not look good. So people are going to be like, damn, you're done. You're finished. Because it shouldn't even be competitive. And that's how people sometimes judge and view. And it's like, it kind of persuades you. So that's my latest. Thank you guys for the super chat donations. I'm going to keep this thing moving. We got Monday Mail Day coming up. If you guys have ideas for what you want to talk about or like clippings, just do what you guys always do. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. Put me in the comment section. Shout out to Sacramento 916. I see you. We working, man. We having a good time. I'm glad it cooled down out here in California. It was hot earlier. Wide punches. Yeah, Jeff Horn definitely had wide punches. But yeah, I mean, I do blame Pacquiao for part of that because he helped create that perception by not fighting smart. You fought a guy and you fought him the style that made him look like he was doing the most of what he wanted to do. That's never a good thing. You notice guys like that I know are smart fighters, cerebral fighters like Floyd Mayweather. He always looks like I mean, you could bring up Castillo or Maidana or maybe a couple rounds of Cotto, but more often than not, Floyd looks like he's in control in that ring. Pacquiao did not look like he was in control. And I think he underestimated Jeff Horn like most fans did. He was on the ropes. Why are you fighting off the ropes? That's not even your sweet spot. He fighting on the ropes. And Horn, he was pretty big. He looked pretty big. He looked way bigger than Pacquiao. You're letting him bully you and give the perception that he's dogging you and he's walking through all your shots. And you could say fuck Horn, he's dirty, but it's a fight. It's just like, let's say you're at a club and in a street fight, that's actually a good example because in a street fight there's no rules. But if the referee ain't doing shit and he's not calling the shit and officiating it, then it's basically like you're in there with another motherfucker and there's no rules. You guys get me? That's basically, it basically becomes a street fight. That's why you have the ref in there to kind of control the action. But if he's not doing it, then it's basically a street fight. Am I right? It's just like, let's say you had a friend and you had parents and you lived with your parents or whatever in high school, and he didn't have his parents would go away and he would just do whatever he wants, throw parties at the house and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be anarchy. And that's what it basically becomes when the referee's not breaking them and enforcing the rules. So at that point, if it becomes a street fight, then you have to fight your way out of it and get the respect that the ref is not giving you. So again, that's Pacquiao's fault because he didn't train for those things. He probably didn't anticipate Horn could produce certain things, and he made the fight difficult. And it's coming from a guy who I thought lost to Pacquiao, but I'm just telling you that perception is reality in boxing, and the fact that you even had any difficulty, that probably influenced people. You heard Stephen A. Smith on the telecast. He was going down Horn's whole resume talking about, who is this guy? Ali Funeka, Randall Bailey? Like, you know what I'm saying? He was just like, who are these guys? He was roasting Horn's whole resume. So you know, ESPN throughout that telecast, they were talking about how Horn is virtually unknown. So the fact that you let a John Doe get in your shit like that, push you on the ropes, dirty or not, it doesn't look good. The fact that you're bleeding. Some people, they're like T-Rex. You remember on Jurassic Park, the T-Rex was sensitive to light, looking in the car and shit like that? People are like that with blood. When they see blood, it doesn't matter how, to some people, it doesn't matter if it was a headbutt or a clash. It doesn't matter. They just see the blood and be like, oh, he's getting his ass whipped. Chocolatito's getting his ass whipped by the sore rung Versailles. That's how people act. Because I remember Tim Bradley, his face looked like holy hell when he fought Diego Chavez. His eye looked all droopy and wet and looked like a vagina and shit. And like s'mores, and his shit looked like the Goonies. Hey, you guys. And people were like, damn, Diego Chavez was fucking him up. You didn't even, you know what I mean? People that weren't even watching the fight said that. The fight was very competitive. But when your face looks crazy like that, that's how some people base it. They look at stuff like that. Things look more impactful and shocking when Pacquiao's leaking. He has blood on his chest, blood coming from his eye. And you have to understand that and know that about the fight game. And Pacquiao should have been looking, the smaller guy, the guy whose power has not really been what it was since 2009 when he got his last knockout. You got to be fighting the smart fight. Like when he fought Brandon Rios. He didn't I think he tied up. He wasn't really tying up with this Jeff Horn dude. So to me, that shows a lack of respect and underestimation, because he didn't fight Brandon Rios like that. That would have been Brandon Rios' style. And coming off of that Marquez knockout, Brandon Rios could have, if he stood toe to toe with him, that would have gave Brandon Rios, that would have gave him the best shot to win. But he didn't fight toe to toe. He was boxing and moving, blah blah blah. And you know what I mean? Part of that might have been because Jeff Horn was faster than Brandon Rios, and he was like feinting, and he was doing a little bit of stuff different. But the bottom line is Pacquiao still boxed more and moved more. Maybe it's because Jeff Horn didn't allow it as much, but if he would have stood toe to toe, that would have gave Brandon Rios an opportunity. So at the end of the day, he allowed that man to shine, and I had him winning. I had him beating Jeff Horn, but I understand why it's controversial, because you allowed that man to shine. You know what I mean? People talk shit about Floyd. Oh, Floyd Maidana. Oh, Floyd beat your ass. Maidana has a slept-on resume. Devin Alexander, Eric Morales, Kotelnik, Amir Khan, Prime Victor Ortiz, right? Jesus Soto Caras knocked out Broner, or he almost knocked out Broner, and he knocked out Josecito Lopez. He got a good resume. Maidana got a good resume. You know what I mean? Jeff Horn's resume is nowhere near Maidana's. When Maidana had reached the pinnacle. He was with Robert Garcia, and he had just nearly stopped Broner, who was undefeated and was the favorite. He was at a career high confidence. He was at the pinnacle of where he should be. When he fought Devin Alexander, he looked like shit. You know what I mean? He lost that one. I think he even got knocked down. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But he might have even got knocked down by Devin Alexander, who's not even the biggest puncher, and he didn't look good. But the totality, the Eric Morales fights, the Amir Khans, the Broner, where he was at that point, his jab was better with Robert Garcia. He was the man. Horn don't have that. You know what I mean? So people talking all this shit. Oh, Floyd, he's fighting another slow, flat-footed Latino. Blah, blah, blah. Maidana is, I told people that was going to be a tough fight, because I respect Maidana as one of my favorites, and I followed his whole career, and I knew where he was at in that point of his career. Jeff Horn didn't have that. I dare somebody to say Jeff Horn's 15-fight resume is fucking with Maidana's resume by the time he fought Floyd. Where's his Amir Khan? Where's his Eric Morales? You know what I mean? Name a Hall of Famer he even fought before Pacquiao. See, y'all can't do this. Somebody keeps asking the question, am I going to Nebraska? I've been there twice, and I'll probably try to go again, yeah. When is the fight again? Is August? I don't know what the weather's like, but it was cold as fuck. I had like snot and shit coming out my nose. But I'll probably try to go cover that fight for you guys. Plus, I want to see it, and that'll be cool to be there if whoever becomes the undisputed. If it's Crawford, that'd be cool if he becomes undisputed in his hometown. So that's your answer. But I'm out of here. You guys let me know what you think. More stuff coming. Hit the subscribe button. Shout out to Miss Quentin Tarantino. Loma ducking horn. Wow. Y'all just talking foolish. I'm out.